Okay, here we go. All right. So people on YouTube, we just added like term. We distributed a minus sign and added, and hopefully you know that stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, now cross it off. And also to make sure, okay, cross it off. Let me double check n to the fourth. Nope, don't see any. Let's move on. N cubed, negative n cubed. Do understand that that's a negative. And then that's another negative. These two cancel, but then I'm left with another negative n cubed. And then cross them off. So smart to keep yourself organized. No friends like Mr. Samuelus for n squared plus n squared. Oh, I forgot to put the my microphone in here, so my voice is going to sound horrible. Minus 7n. Cross it off. And then I'm left with 11 and negative 14. Good. So I counted for everybody. Leading coefficient, if we care to ask you about that, is 6. Degree of this is 4 because I have an n to the fourth. Hey, by the way, off to the side, just real quick, fancy degree questions. What's the degree of this that I'm going to write above this? 4x squared y to the fourth. First of all, that's a monomial. That's one term. There is no plus or minus separating these. So what do I pick? Is it 2? Is it 4? Or is it 6? How many people say it's 2? Raise your hand. How many people have 4? Raise your hand. Oh, we got some hands. How many people think it's 6? You raise your hand twice. That doesn't make sense. It's actually 6. When you have a combination of variables together, the degree of the polynomial is a combination of those powers. Not here. These are separate terms. So, this degree is 4 of this term. This is degree 3, 2, 1, and 0. All right, so that's degree 4. But when you have a combination of variables, the degree is the combination of the exponents. Okay? Hey, I got another one. What if you had 3x cubed y to the fifth minus 4x squared y to the third? Now you got to use a combination of the two rules together. Notice the degree of this polynomial was only the highest of the terms, so be careful on that. Okay, what's the degree of this, everybody? 3, 2, 1, go. 8, right? What's the degree of this one? 3, 2, 1, go. 5. What's the degree total? Is it 8 or is it 13? It's 8. It's the highest degree of one of the individual terms. That's a semantic detail of what degree is of a polynomial that's more complicated. Okay? So just real quick on that, a note to self off to the side, a little thought bubble, for complicated degree questions. Moving along, now we're into this. Yes. Raise your hand if you've heard the word FOIL before. Nice. We used to make that an illegal word in math, and I never understood it. It was stupid because I love FOIL. And actually, a lot of people know about FOIL that are not even math teachers. What word describes what I'm doing right now? Distribute. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to get sick of this saying. I know I just mentioned FOIL, and this is not a FOIL. I'll wait for that saying that fourth hour knows about that I said a billion times. Please know what you do with the exponents here. This is very simple. When you take n squared times n to the third, you add those powers. All right, and then I don't really have a number. But I will say this, listen. This said, simplify, distribute, FOIL, whatever. Tomorrow, actually today, I'm going to ask you to factor. And if I ask you to factor, then this is the question, and then that's the answer. What kind of factoring is that? It starts with a G. Oh, no. G, and then there's another letter after that, and then another letter after that. Nobody knows it? G. Okay, GC. This is killing me, fifth hour. GCF. But that's not what this question is. Don't go in circles and get yourself confused. What I'm trying to make the point is factoring is the exact reversal of multiplying. This page says multiply. The next page says factor. All right? And that's what you got to understand. And it's good to understand that because then you become a good factor if you're a good foiler. So here's FOIL real quick as we're shortening up our time. Oh, I got 10 minutes. Maybe I'm okay. 3n to the 6th. That's first for FOIL, for our little thing that we use in order to know how to do this. Draw the lines. I'm telling you right now, this is, for some reason, this chapter P for students ends up being a little rough in the beginning of the year because they don't have their math skills that they should coming into this. This is the prereq section. So we must have this down. This is 7n squared negative. That's I for inner. So this is first outer, inner, and then last two terms. I'm running out of room for my letters. I should have given myself some space. That's where FOIL comes from. Ooh, we're lucky. There's no like terms. Believe it or not, this is factorable. When you have four terms, does anyone remember how you factored a four-term polynomial? It does start with a G again, but it's a word. Yes, grouping, right? But we're not doing that. Don't go in circles. If you group this and factor this, you're going to get that, which is what the start of the question was. I'm trying to prove a point, though. All right, factoring is just the reverse of what we're doing right now. And if you understand foiling, then factoring should not be that big of a deal and should be very easy to check. So, yeah. Hey, by the way, true or false? 2 cubed is 8, n cubed minus y cubed. True or false? The answer starts with an F. I don't have time. It's false. You can't take a binomial cubed and just cube each of the individual components. I'll tell you what is true. I'll write this off to the side. 2ny cubed. Sure, that's a product all the way across cubed. So yes, you do cube every component. My pen only, I have to 3 times write an N until it writes. That's true. But this is not what I have. You're not going to like this one. And all it takes is a little elbow grease and just a little effort. This means 2n minus y. Oh, by the way, not equal. Sorry. That is not true. And I will get that. There will be a handful. Please prove me wrong, but I will get that. That is exactly what's going to happen with many students, way too many. And then what you have to do is take this a little bit at a time. Okay, I'll slow down and take a breath for a second. Okay, done. The next part you should hold in your head. All right, this is negative 2ny. Hold. And this is another negative 2ny. What's negative 2 plus negative 2? Negative 4ny. You do want to shorten up some stuff. You do want to skip some steps. All right, and then negative times a negative is a positive, y squared. And then 2n minus y, we have to take a trinomial times a binomial. This is not a FOIL, and the lines are going to get a little bit messy. But 4n squared times 2n, 4 times 2 is 8, n cubed. 4n squared times a negative. And then I'm done. I distributed that to the binomial. Now I move on. This one's going to be a mess. I'm going to go underneath here. Should have given myself more room here. Minus 8, 4 times negative 2, or negative 4 times 2. N times n's n squared. Why? So keeping track of the variables and who gets multiplied with who. But then now I got a different term. This is negative times a negative, a positive. 4ny squared. That's a different term. And then I got to take the y squared and distribute it. And I'll crush the other question there and go through that. Plus 2ny squared. Don't tell me this is hard. It is, and just take some space. And if you're not willing to write that space and take your time and writing these steps, that's the problem. And I will get bums, clowns. Yes, I'm calling you names. That this question is the question, and then you just write an answer. And it's the right answer. And I couldn't even do that. I could not sit there and do this, all this work that I have in front of you in my head. Can't do it. So you're fooling nobody but yourself. Now, those are like terms. Like terms are exact variables with the exact same exponents. So, and luckily, they are right next to each other. And luckily, these are right next to each other. And then, therefore, this is done. So that's a monster one. And then we'll move on, and we'll not get through much factoring. But I'll tell you what, the bell's going to ring. And as you walk out, I'm still going to be talking to the video to try to finish the video from what I got done in the other hour. Okay, I go too fast? You got it all? Okay, so again, I really hope you don't see that as being hard, but you just got to take your time and show your steps and organize. All right, I'm not going to do this one all the way, but I am going to put PEMDAS up here. What's PEMDAS stand for? There you go. And that actually applies to this. This is multiplying. That means you do not distribute that 2 into the fourth first. You either look at this as parentheses or exponents first. So you must tackle this first. You cannot distribute that 2n to the fourth. So you must take this as 3n plus 5. I think the other hour I didn't complete this one all the way. You FOIL and get that answer, and then you take the 2n to the fourth, and then you distribute it. Got it? And just put that as a note to self. We've done enough to actually explain all those other parts. Okay, and then this one, it's not really a big deal, and I didn't assign the one, but do you know what the root n times root n is? Because that's what eventually is going to happen in this first for FOIL. What's root n times root n? N. You actually should have an absolute value around it too, that little thing. So it really just becomes 6 absolute value of n as your first step. You know, and then you could keep going. But I got to move on. I want to get some factoring done. And even when the bell rings, I'm going to keep going, and I want to be done with the video before my next hour comes in. Okay, now let's look at this, and let's talk about some factoring and efficiency. We're not doing 4-step factoring only unless we have to get there and do that. So always look for a GCF. And it's always the first thing that you do look for sure. So let's look at this first one. Do we have a GCF? Yes or no? Absolutely. What is it? Yell it out. We don't have time. You undistribute it. Good FOILers, good factorers. Good FOILers or good factorers, good distributors. They understand the last page we just did, and then pulling out that n, if I threw it back in, I'd have what I started with. I know I did the right thing. And now what I'm left over with is actually this. Factoring a trinomial that is in this format. And I don't do tables, but I do MA. And it's because of FOIL, and I'll tell you how that works after I do the answer to this. There is no 4-step foiling on this. There is this. This is the M number. That is the A number. Why can I do that right away? Because this is 1n squared. Since that's 1n squared, I can just do a simple MA analysis. Tell me before you leave what multiplies to 2, those same numbers add to be -3. This is simple numeracy. Simple what numbers multiply to be +2 but add to be -3. Hurry up. -2 and -1. Guess what this is factored then? N minus 2, N minus 1, you could switch them. Why? Good FOILers, say it, are good what? Factorers. What's N times N, everybody? N squared. Real quick, what's -2 times -1? That's last. What's -1n and -2n? -3n. Since that foils to be that, I definitely factored correctly. Students that can't factor, never think about FOIL. Have a good day. I'm going to keep talking to the computer. Hey, this next one, and you guys might want to watch the end of this video if you want to see some more components that I did in the other class. This is dots. Have a good day, everybody. See, this is 2 terms, and this is a perfect square, and this is a perfect square, and it is a difference. So right off the bat, this is what we're going to do because of good FOILers. What equals 64? 8 times 8. First of FOIL, boom shakalaka. What does this equal? Perfect square of 25y squared, which is 5y and 5y. Wait a minute, something's wrong. I have a minus sign here. So when I do last, one of these have to be negative. And then wait a minute, does this work for getting no middle term? Darn tootin'. Negative 40y, positive 40y. Good FOILers, good factors. And me factoring that, I thought about FOIL the whole stinking time. Did you have a question?
I just want to make sure this. Say for number 6, because I've been doing the homework.
Good. Let me see.
With this,
I can't see that far.
Sorry. For number 6, once you bring it down like that first step, if I really want to, I could just times that by that first, right?
Yes, you could. Yeah, that's totally legal. Yeah, as long as it's only one of them. You are right. All right, and then what else did I do? I did. Boy, I didn't do too much. So we're actually there. I just did this one last one, and then we moved. And then I told the class I was going to cover the other ones tomorrow, and then move on. All right. Take it easy. So you pull out a 5. So remember, always, and I forgot to do that in this. I didn't go, hey, is there a GCF here? There wasn't. I knew there wasn't, but you should always look for a GCF first. All right, so pull out a 5, undistribute a 5, and then is this factorable still? And it is. It's another dots. And you want to, we got to get patterns of recognition for factoring to be able to be efficient and fast. Because good FOILers, good factors. What's the perfect square of n to the 4th? N squared and n squared. First in FOIL, okay. N squared times n squared is n to the 4th. I'm good. And then what equals 25? 5 and 5. But wait a minute. It's a negative 25, so this has to be a negative product. So I'll put the negative here and the positive here. Yes, you could switch them. It could be minus first and plus second, as long as one of them is minus. Wait a minute. Did I do this right? This is negative 5n squared. This is positive 5n squared. There would be no middle term, which you don't see there anyway. So n to the 4th, minus 25, if I were to FOIL this back with the middle term falling out. Factoring is not a major big deal. It isn't. All right, so 4th hour, I didn't get to difference in sum of cubes. This one actually is a simple MA'er, and I did say this in the other class. N times n is n squared. What multiplies to 14 and adds to 9? 7 and 2, both positive. And I don't care who you write first, it doesn't matter. Middle term, 7n and 2n. It always makes me so sad in November and December, and I still have people that can't factor this or write answers that are not sensical. I did talk about the other group. Hey, 4 terms, how should you do this? Grouping. I could do that real quick, and you should be able to do grouping questions. This is the one I got to do tomorrow, and then I got to do this tomorrow, and I got to do this tomorrow, and then we're going to move on to the next set of notes. All right. Hey, first video of the year. Nice.